Firefly Shiny Dice. It is a dice-based game with the Firefly theme. And in this game there are 15 die. You have your white passenger die, your brown crew die, and then your black enemy dice. So to start the game off, you're going to roll all 15. Your enemy die are going to go in their appropriate slots. Cargo in the supplies. And then you're going to put everybody else in Serenity. And I like to do it like this so you have an idea of how many of each you have. So the supplies look like this. They look a little backpack. Jane. Kylie. Wash. River. Zoe, and Mal. So each die has their own special abilities. So the next step in step 1 is to use any of the special abilities on the die, which is the wash die, which lets you roll 1 wash and 1 die from Serenity, and then the river die lets you roll river and 1 die from the foe side. So we're going to go ahead and choose to roll river with a Niska. And now we rolled Simon. And we're going to choose to roll the other river and see if we, and a saffron. We ended up getting a badger and another river. And then wash, we're going to choose wash and re-roll the river. We got wash and river again. And we're going to choose to roll wash and Jane. And we got another Kylie and another wash. Next step is to pick a missions card. On the missions card, you have what you need to complete them at the top, and then there's flavor text, and then what the penalty would be. Like this one is bushwhacked. So if a mission with bushwhacked is not completed during the turn, which it was revealed, then the player must choose to lay low in step 4, which is lay low or keep flying. So we did not complete that. So once we reach step 4, we are going to have to lay low. Next step is to misbehave. You're going to first take care of any shiny times, which are going to be on your missions. We do not have one. And then the foes are going to strike. If you have any Niska die that have been locked, you have to move 1 die, 1 crew die to the KO. So we're going to go ahead and move Kaylee. For each saffron die, we must move 1 crew die from Serenity to the cargo hold. So we're going to go ahead and move Mal, because we only have 1 saffron. And then for each badger, you must attach a supply. for the number of badgers you have or the number of supply. And then the moment you defeat them, you gain your supply back. Phase 3 is to have a plan. We get to use our die and strength to defeat the foes and complete our missions. So we were not able to complete our mission, but we can resolve some damage. Every time you use one of your die, they get moved to the KO. So we're going to use Simon. Simon's special ability is to move Kaylee from the KO pile to Serenity. We're going to use River's ability of Unstable Reaction, which is to deal damage to each foe. So now that we've defeated Saffron, we get 100. We defeated one badger, so we gain our supply back. And then we're going to go ahead and use Zoe, where we can deal 2 damage and we can divide them among the foes. So we're going to defeat Niska, gain another 100, and Badger. Okay, we're going to move on to Phase 4, Damage Report. If we are not defeated, which we were not, we may collect our spoils, which is what we received from defeating each enemy. And then we get to proceed to step 4, which in step 4 is lay low or keep flying. Because we got bushwhacked because we did not complete our mission, we have to choose to lay low. And at lay low, you're going to take all at-risk victory points and end our turn. So we're going to take all of our victory points here, and they're at risk until you decide to lay low. The only ones that are not at risk are your supplies, so we're going to gain 1 supply card. And then since we're laying low, we're going to take our spoils. Whenever you roll a Nara, you immediately score 100 victory points, and they are not placed in the at-risk pool. Those are the only victory points that are not in the at-risk pool to begin with. So now that we've ended our turn, we would let the other players that we're playing with, this game can be played up to 5 people. And the game only comes with 2 player mats, so we found it easier to just move the player mats around. So once everybody has taken their turn that you're playing with, then it's your turn again. Or if you're playing solo, you don't have to worry about anybody else taking their turn. So you're going to collect all the die again. Your mission card goes back because you've completed, you either have or have not completed the mission. And we're going to roll our die again. We have a lot of supplies this turn. Alright, we have 2 Niska, no Saffron, and 3 Badgers. We got Book, Simon, River, 2 Mal, and 1 Jane. So River is the only die that has a special ability that we may use in the first phase. So we're going to go ahead and just leave it go because right now we don't want to risk getting any Saffron, and we only have to KO 1 of our people. And the Badgers only collect our supplies. So we're going to move on to step 2, which is get a mission. So we've gotten our mission. And then step 3, misbehave. Phase 1 of step 3 is to resolve any shiny times. We do in fact have a shiny. So we must resolve the active mission. If it's a shiny, and it is, and we have River. So it immediately deals 1 damage to any foe. So we're going to deal damage to Badger. And then since the mission is complete, we deal 1 damage to any foe. So we're going to deal a damage to Niska. So now we move on to phase 2, which is the foe's strike. So Niska, we have to KO 1 crew die. So we're going to go ahead and just KO River. And then here we just place a supply on each on each Badger. And now phase 3 is to have a plan. So we're going to use our die in Serenity to defeat our foes. And we have completed our mission with our River die. So now we're going to use, let's see here, Jane can deal 2 damage to any foe. So we're going to deal 2 damage to Badger, gain our supplies back, and 100 victory points. And then we're going to use Mal's Inspiration, where we choose 1 outlaw die or up to 2 passenger die in the cargo to reroll. Actually, we are not going to do that because we don't have anything in there. But any passenger die can deal 1 point of damage to any foe. So we're going to go ahead and use Simon to use him to deal 1 damage to Niska. And we're going to gain another victory point. So now that we have defeated all of our foes, we move on to step 4, and we can choose to lay low or keep flying. So I think this time around we're going to choose to keep flying because we did not get bushwhacked, so we have the choice this turn. So we're going to fly and risk all of our at-risk victory points and taking another turn. So all of our unused die from Serenity and the supplies goes into the cargo hold, and we do gain 4 more supplies, and they stay with us. They are not at risk, only victory points are at risk. And only these ones that from our cargo hold and the enemy die get rolled. So we have gotten a lot of Zoe, which is really good. Okay, so we've completed that mission. And since we have chosen to keep flying, we started all over again. So our step 1 was to roll our die. Use any dice effects we might want. And I think we're going to just leave Wash alone because Zoe deals 2 damage to foes, and we can divide them up, and we have 5 Zoes. So that is really good for us this time around. So we're just going to move right into step 2, and that's get a mission. Now step 3 is to misbehave. We ended up with another shiny, so it immediately deals a damage to a foe. The foes strike, so we're going to resolve all of the foes. So we have to KO 1 crew die. So we're going to KO Wash. Saffron, we have to move 1 crew die to the cargo hold. And then Badger gets a supply. So we did not complete our mission, so we don't get to deal the extra damage. And since it was a shiny, there's no other effects that will take place with it. And we're just going to go right into dealing our damage. We're going to use Zoe. Deal 2 damage here. So we get more victory points. And we're going to use Zoe again and deal 2 damage. And with her, we can divide them up amongst foes. So we defeat a Saffron and our Badger, and we get our supplies back. Since we have 5, we can go with the 500 victory points now. And now we're going to choose to lay low because we don't have very many dice left to use. So that will be the end of our second round. And in the game of Firefly Shiny Dice, you get 3. So we're going to discard our mission card, put our spoils on our keep spoil pile. And then we're going to go right into our last and final round. So we're going to roll all 15 of our die, put our enemies in their appropriate slots. Put all of our dice where they belong in Serenity and in order so we know who we have. Okay, next step is to see if we have any die that we can use, and we do have some rivers. So we're going to go ahead and choose to roll a river and a Niska. And we ended up with a Saffron and Book. We're going to choose to roll the other river and try to get rid of a Saffron. We got a Badger and a supply now. Okay. Step 2 is to get a mission. We got another shiny mission. So, step 3 is to misbehave. And first off, we resolve any shinies, and we do, so we immediately deal 1 damage to our foe. So we're going to just take it off of Saffron. Phase 2 is the foe's strike. We have to place one of our crew die in the cargo hold. So we're just going to place Book in the cargo. And then supplies for each Badger, of which we have supplies, and we only had 1 this time. Okay, next is to have a plan. We were able to complete our mission, so we deal 1 more damage, and we're just going to deal that right to Saffron. Gain 100 victory points. And we only need to deal 3 damage to Badger. So we're going to go ahead and use Jane. Deals 2 damage. We gain our supplies back. And then we're just going to go ahead and use Simon to deal 1 damage. And we've defeated Badger. So we get another 100 victory points. Alright, so we can move everybody to the cargo, and we ended up with 1 supply. So that's going to go in our spoils pile that we get to keep. Discard our mission card. And we still have a good bit of die left that we can use. So we're going to go ahead and keep flying. So we have some at-risk victory points. Alright, so now we are going to, again, put all of our enemies where they belong, and our crew where they belong in Serenity. And we rolled a lot of wash this turn. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take wash and re-roll Simon. We ended up with another Mal and a river. And we're going to take, let's see here. I think we'll keep river. And we're actually just going to roll our other wash with a Mal. And we got a Zoe and another wash. Okay. So step 2 is to take a mission. We're getting a lot of shiny missions this time around. Alright. Step 3 is to misbehave. We do have another shiny, so we immediately deal 1 damage. So we're going to go ahead and just deal 1 damage to Niska. Phase 2, the foe's strike. So since we do have Niska, we must KO one of our crew die, and we're just going to KO Wash. We have to move 1 to the cargo hold, and we'll move Wash there. And we have no supplies to give Badger this time. So now phase 3 is to have a plan. So we're going to use our die to once again defeat our enemies. And we're going to use River. With River's unstable reaction, we deal 1 damage to each foe. So we defeated Saffron and Badger. And we're going to go ahead and use Jane's Vera ability, which is to deal 2 damage to any one foe, which we only have 1 left out there. So we get another 100 victory points. We're at 500 again, so we're going to take the 500 card. Makes it easier to count in the end. And since we did not complete our mission, we did not get to deal an extra damage to our foe. So we are going to choose to lay low now, and that is the end of the game. So at the end of the game, you are going to tally up all of your points. So we have 500s. End of game scoring. For every 2 supplies, you get 100 victory points. So we have 2 supplies, so we're just going to add 100 here. 2. And then 2. So we ended up getting 300 victory points off of our supplies. Now all we have to do is add up. And we have 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 1,600 victory points. So if you're just playing solo, you can just simply play to beat your score. And if you're playing with other players, whoever has the most victory points at the end is the winner. So that is the game of Firefly Shiny Dice. It's a really fun, I feel, dice-driven game with some card abilities, like with trying to see if you rolled the correct die to complete your missions, using the die special abilities to defeat enemies, and having the choice of deciding who you're going to use at what times, who you're going to move to the cargo hold or send to the KO when the foes attack. And the nice thing about this game is it's rather small. It comes with 2-player mats that has it all set out for you. You can either pass the mats around or just have everybody designate where each dice set is going when they're playing. And they each have these nice little cards that you actually fold up to hide your spoils so no one knows exactly what you have. And there's lots of detail on them as to how to play the game, the steps for each playthrough, what each dice special ability is, and then what the enemy dice do. So that's nice. And it's on the side where you can see it and the outside where the players see it, your enemies per se, is really nice because, I mean, after all, Firefly, you cannot go wrong. You have to have Serenity on it. And then you got the crew on there as well. So overall, I like the game Firefly Shiny Dice. And it's really nice for the people that were into Firefly, the TV series, which sadly definitely was taken off way too early. But for those of you that really liked Firefly, an off-topic part of the board game community here is there are comic books out now by Dark Horse for Firefly. So if you're really into Firefly and didn't know about it, I would highly suggest going and starting the comic book series. They're really good. Just an off note from the board game, because Firefly is one of my favorite TV series that was been out and definitely was taken off way too soon. And the movie Serenity that was supposed to help wrap it up in the end did some justice, but just miss watching Firefly on the TV. So that again is the game of Firefly Shiny Dice. If you liked what you've seen here today, go ahead and click the like button, leave a comment in the comments section, and click on that bell icon to get notifications when our next videos pop up. And make sure you subscribe to my channel and see what all fun and games we do.